Welcome back to the Raid My Lab preview show. This is the fourth and final episode that will show you how I made the tech that is going to make the show run. The show officially starts on July 22nd, 2019, and I highly recommend, if you're interested in these videos, to watch them in order. We've already shown how I've done some of the laser cutting and the hardware building, and the previous video showed coding, and we are going to finish the code that makes the Raid My Lab system run. Hope you enjoy. Okay, so it's time to write the PHP part of the project, and we're going to use the UserSpice framework, and I will link to some videos below that will show you how to install that. I'll even link to a video showing you how to build a complete server on a Raspberry Pi, which could be super helpful. You could also download something like XAMPP or WAMP or MAMP or something like that. But basically you'll need a PHP server, and so I will link to some different ways to make that happen. And we're gonna look. I've opened up the PHP folder here in my code editor. I've opened up phpMyAdmin, which is the database editor, and what I think we're gonna do is we're gonna start with the MySQL part. So, or some people, MySQL, whatever you prefer. We're gonna make a new table, and we are going to call it topics. And so the goal of this application is going to be that we're going to push a button, and it's going to come over here to the PHP server, and it is going to find out which topics have not been discussed, and it's going to give us a random one. And we may add another function that does some other fun stuff, but for now we're just going to try to pick a random topic. So what we're going to do, we're going to give the table a name. We're inside the Pi database, which is the one for the project. And we're going to make the first column an ID, a length of 11, and this is really important. We're going to make this an auto increment column, so that, in other words, the first one's going to be 1, the second one's going to be 2, and it's just going to keep auto incrementing like that. The next one is going to be the topic, and we are going to do varchar with a length of 255, and this is where we're going to store the name of the topic that we're going to discuss. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do chosen, and this is going to be a tiny int, and basically what it's going to be is a 1 or a 0. And so if the topic has been chosen, it'll be a 1. If it has not been chosen, it'll be a 0. And then the last thing we'll do is we'll do chosen date, and we will, let's make that a date time. I want to scroll down, date time. And so basically what's going to happen, I'm going to hit save, and we're going to have a database that has these columns: ID, topic, chosen, and chosen date. And so we're going to be able to store as many topics as we want in here. And so we're going to go to browse, let's go to insert, and I'm just going to do a couple of them. I'm going to do LEDs. Oh, you know what we're going to do? We're going to come back here for a second. We're going to go to topics, and we are going to change the structure a little bit. And we're going to make chosen by default a 0, just so we don't have to worry about filling that in every time. So we're going to go to insert, and we're going to do LEDs, and then we're going to do my workbench. And then if I were to hit go, it's fine, you can ignore that. We're going to see that automatically we have these incremented IDs here, and one topic is LEDs, another topic is my workbench. And so I'm going to go through and I'm going to put in all the different topics that are available in the Raid My Lab series. Okay, so I've inserted 25 topics. There could be some more coming up, but it's basically an idea of we're going to have the Arduino and the database randomly choose a topic that has something to do with touring my lab. We're going to look at the different components I have, the different Arduinos, and sort of like a mailbag, except they're going to be really on topic. So we're going to pull out all the Arduinos and look at them and discuss the pros and cons of different ones, things like that. So I have the database, and now what we need to be able to do is to select a random one. So we're going to remember that our table is topics, and that we have these columns here: topic, chosen, and chosen date. So what we're going to do is we are going to just start by echoing this out on the screen. We're not going to do anything fancy with it, but we're going to go in this folder that has blank pages, and we are going to duplicate a blank page, and we're going to just bring it into the main folder, and we're going to call it input.php, and you'll see there'll be a reason for that. Anyway, so we have this input.php, and now if I were to come here to my browser and I were to load input.php, it will automatically ask me to put it in the database, and we're going to do that, and we're going to say that basically anybody can access this page. And what I'm going to do is the people who are accessing this page are going to be a Raspberry Pi and an Arduino, and not real people, and so they're not going to have to log in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this line right here that checks to see if they're logged in. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put our PHP code just right in the middle of the page. Most people tend to put it at the top, and that's fine, but we're just going to put it right in the middle of here so that we can debug and we can just see exactly what's going on. So we're going to write a basic MySQL query, and so we're going to do topics. We're going to do topic equals db query, so query the database, and we're going to say select star from topics, which is the name of the table, and then we're going to say order by rand, and then we're going to say give me the first one. Now I'm going to explain how this is going to work and how order by rand and first can work. But before I do that, we're just going to do a dump or var dump of topic, and we're going to refresh the page, and you'll see that, okay, we have displays. I refresh the page again, we have lenses, we have relays. So I want to show you a little bit about how this statement works. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to update the database to show that this one has been chosen, so it doesn't get selected anymore. And then we also want to update the date that it was chosen, so we have a record of when we actually did this. So what we're going to do, we're going to make an array, and I'm going to call it fields equals array. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to take the column name, and that's chosen, and we're going to call that a 1 now. And then we're going to take chosen date, and we're going to run the PHP date function, and we're going to do year, month, date, hours, minutes, seconds. Okay. And I'm going to explain this in a second. And then what we're going to do is we're going to update the database. And so we're going to run the update method. And so we're going to say db update. And this method takes 3 parameters. First thing it wants to know is what is the table you're trying to update. And so we're going to say topics. The next thing it wants to know is what is the row that you want to update. And so in our situation, it is row 2, and it's known as the ID column. So what we're going to do is we're going to take topic, which is this variable, and then we're going to say give me the ID column, and so that's going to put a 2 in there. So we have the table you want to update, the row you want to update, and then it wants to know the columns you want to update, and that's fields. And so the reason why is because we want to update 2 columns at once, and the first one is chosen. We want to change that to a 1. The second one is the chosen date. We want to change that to the current date. So what we're going to do, I'm going to save it, and then we're going to go straight to the phpMyAdmin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this tab, and I'm going to paste that there. And so this is the table with all the different things that we have to explore, and we're going to come in here, we're going to refresh this page, and so the next one that's selected is called buttons, except this time it's going to be updating the database. And so we're going to come in here and look at this, and we're going to see nothing has changed because we need to refresh it. And all of a sudden now buttons has been chosen on 2019 521. So we're going to refresh the page a couple times, and you're going to see that a couple of them have been chosen. Now what we want to make sure is that we don't re-choose something that's already been chosen. So what we're going to do is select star from topics where chosen equals 1. And so now when I refresh the page, it won't reselect any one that's already been selected. That's my fault. Where chosen equals 0. I was like, we're doing nothing but selecting ones that have been selected. So we're going to do chosen equals 0, and now you're going to get these different ones are going to be selected every single time. So that's how the random portion of it is going to work. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to tell the Raspberry Pi which one has been chosen. And so the easiest way to do that, I think, is with Mqtt, and we're going to go over big picture what we're doing. But so what you're going to do is you're going to go back to UserSpice, and if you're not logged in, you're going to log in with admin and password, and you're going to go to the plugin section. And if you don't have this plugin, you can download it, but it's called Spice Shaker. And what you're going to do is you're going to activate this plugin, and then you can go here to Spice Shaker, and there's going to be some instructions here to get an API key. You can use one API key for as many installs of UserSpice as you want, but I'm going to go get my API key and paste it in here. So I'm going to paste it and just click anywhere outside this thing, and I'm going to get that the UserSpice API key has been updated. And we're going to browse the plugins. And so we're going to go to plugins and go. And we're going to get one called Mqtt Mosquito. So we're going to install that. And then once you install it, then you can come over here and we can physically install the plugin and activate it. And it just has a button over here that says configure plugin. So we're going to click on that. And now what we have to do is tell it our server configuration. So it has a demo one in there. We're going to put the IP address of our Raspberry Pi, which in my case is 192.168.95.225. The port is going to be 1883 to begin with. We're not using any username and password. And we're going to put, I'm going to call mine UserSpice Pi server. And then I'm going to add that here. So now my new one is called 2. It's ID 2. So now what we can do is we can actually make calls to the Mqtt server. So let me show you what to do. So what you can see here is that I give an example where in the code you can put Mqtt2, which is your server name, with a topic of hello and a message of world. And so I'm actually going to copy this, and we're going to come back to our PHP code, and we are going to just paste this in right here. And I'm going to change it a little bit. I'm going to put something, and then I'm going to put has been selected. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our Raspberry Pi, and we're going to come to 192.168.95.225:1880, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete this off of here. I'm going to go to the Mqtt in, which is this one. And I'm just going to, let's see, I think I'm already configured. I'm just going to tell it to look at all topics. I'm going to no quality service. In other words, I don't want it to save it. And then I'm going to just send it to the debugger. So what happens is, now if I deploy and I come over here, it shows us nothing. But if I come back to this home page and go to input.php, then it gave me another random one. And when I come over here, it tells me a topic of something has been selected. So what's cool about this is, in fact, I'm not on the Raspberry Pi. I'm on my desktop, but I've been able to send a message pretty instantly. In fact, we're gonna look at this. I'm gonna drag this out to the side here. Try this here. I'm gonna drag this out to the side, and you're gonna see that every time I refresh this, like, it's pretty much instantaneous that we're getting this message.